The Charge Blade is the most technical weapon in Monster Hunter World, but the time invested in learning it pays off in spades. It's got fast attacks, slow powerful attacks, charging mechanics, super finishers, guarding, KO, stun, morphing, you name it, this weapon can do it. Welcome to my guide on the Charge Blade. The concept of the Charge Blade is simple enough. You'll attack with the sword mode and build up energy in those files on the upper left hand side of the screen. As you build up energy, you can charge them into your shield here, and then go into an axe mode where you can utilize those files to dish out some serious damage. Once you run out of files, you go back into sword mode, rinse and repeat. It truly is the ultimate Swiss Army knife and a complex weapon that, if you give it the time to learn, is an absolute powerhouse. But before we go into the charging mechanics or anything like that, we have to understand both modes of play, so let's start out with the sword mode. Your draw attack, if you have forward input and you press the triangle button, is this wonderful forward slash. Steam will push you forward and allow you to attack. This attack does have what we call super armor, meaning that if there's a small attack that you get hit in the middle of it, it won't knock you or cancel you out of the animation, you'll still follow through with the attack. So it's really good for just going rah and getting in there. You can do the same move with your weapon out by pressing triangle and circle at the same time. Again, just a really wonderful move for getting in there and starting a combo. Like most weapons, there is a 3-hit combo. We'll do it with the triangle button, so if we press triangle once while we're idle, it'll do this weak slash. Nothing to write home about, just as the name suggests. If we press triangle one more time though, we'll do this wonderful return stroke. Look at the height on this thing though. It's very high hitting, so if you're underneath, let's say like a Rathalos, you might actually be able to use that move to hit its legs and knock it out of the air. And finally, if we press triangle one more time, we'll finish it off with the spinning slash. Spinning slash is just a nice attack that has a nice round radius and a hit right there. There are a few different special things about that which we'll cover. One important thing to note here is after any of these triangle attacks, you can use left or right input on your analog stick and press X to do a side hop. Side hops are really good because it allows you to quickly reposition. Say a monster's coming at you, whoa, go over here to the right. This is an excellent move, not every weapon has access to these. If you press X after a side hop, you'll go directly into that finisher, the spinning slash. You can even loop it together like this if you like. Because this is a 3-hit combo, a lot of the moves that you can do will substitute for that first hit, that weak slash. So for example, if we press triangle and circle at the same time, we go directly into that second hit. That's one combo right there. If we do a evade and press the triangle button, that will act as a substitute as well. And so forth. One thing to note, and we're going to cover this a lot more in detail later in the video, is at the very end of this attack, if you notice the shield is out in front of you. Well, if you happen to get hit in the middle of this animation at the end when that shield is in front of you, you'll actually guard the attack. This is what we call a guard point. It's kind of a point in the animation in which you will guard an attack automatically if you get hit. This is really good for both aggressive play, because if anything tries to hit you here, you are totally safe and you can just keep on attacking. Again, this is a much more complex subject that we'll touch on later, but I wanted to note on it now. The bread and butter attack of the sword mode is the charged hit. This will charge your files very fast and dish out a lot of damage. Hold down the circle button like this and release to do the attack. Now if you hold it down and you let go too early, you'll just do a weak slash. If you overcharge it here, you'll also do a weak one as well, so just make sure to release it after you get that sort of animation glow. You can do this move after any attack, so you can just mix it in. So say you're in the middle of this combo, you can go ahead and go to this animation, round slash from it, go into another one, and so forth. I love whoever did the animation for this weapon. The fact that they can do it like that is just so cool. No matter what attack you do it afterwards, it just looks so natural. Another move you can do, and this one is a transitional one only, so you can't do it from idle, but you can do it after any attack, is press triangle and circle to do this shield thrust. This thing actually does 2 hits, so you want to be in close when you do it, and you can do some directional output sort of adjustment when you do it with your analog stick. We'll go over later why this is such a good move, but this is just a really nice transitional move. You can go straight into that, into a charge, and you can just keep comboing these as many times as you like. So with these, you can combo and mix them however you like to make an infinite number of combos. You can go like here, shield thrust, go into a charge, down, another shield thrust, over, and you can see how this goes. And that was a cool new attack that I want to show you guys off now. This is going to throw a lot of you guys off if you're used to the Charge Blade in past games because it wasn't there. But after any attack, if you have input on your analog stick and press the circle button, you'll do this wonderful sliding slash. You can do this thing in any direction you like, whether it's in front, behind, left, right, and so forth. This allows you to quickly reposition and also move around really fast. One thing I will note, and why I'm saying this will trip up old-time players, but maybe not new ones, is that after an attack, let's say you want to go and do this charge attack, that is the circle button. So if you have input on your left analog stick, instead of doing that, you'll end up doing this sliding slash. So you do have to get into mentality of not touching that analog stick on the left unless you want to do that move, because you'll do that instead. But once you get used to it, I find it really pretty easy to differentiate between the two. You can use this charging slash in the middle of a combo to reposition, but watch how fast it allows you to really track down a target. Let's say we do this, we go over forward. That is a huge amount of ground we just covered, just in those two attacks. And like the shield thrust, you can mix these in as much as you want. It's such a fun weapon. Now some of you may have realized, but watch the animation at the end of that shield slash. That's right, you have your shield out. This is the second guard point for the weapon, so if you get hit during any of this, you are totally safe. One of the reasons why that's really good is if you do this sliding slash behind you to get out of the way, sort of as a defensive maneuver, watch what happens. You are totally safe. So you can go here, slide slash to back. Not only do you get away, but you are also guarded in case something comes at you and hits you. Very, very cool move, and I think the mastery of the sliding slash will really allow you to become a very good Charge Blade user. So quick recap, because I know it's already starting to get complicated. We have our forward slash here with the triangle and circle button. We have our 3-hit combo with the triangle, that wonderful spinning slash. And at any time we have 3 moves we can do in the middle of a combo. We can press triangle and circle to do the thrust. We can hold down circle to do a charged hit. Or we can have input on our left analog stick and circle to do the sliding slash. We can mix and match them as much as we want. And as we do it, we're charging energy in that files up above. Okay, now before we go on to the file mechanic and the charging mechanic, I want to go over the axe mode so we understand our basic moves in that one as well. Then we'll talk about how these things work together. Anytime you are in the sword mode, you can press the R2 button and the triangle button, or if you're guarding already, you can just press the triangle button to do this morph slash. Boom! This is a really powerful attack with the axe, and will throw you into the slower but much more powerful axe mode. And of course, you can actually draw into axe mode by simply pressing R2. Nice. With your axe out, hold forward and press triangle to do this running dash slam. This is very similar to that morph attack, except your hunter will run forward. So this will take some getting used to. This will also allow you to close distance. This is a new move for the weapon actually. And this is really important because you move really slow with this. So being able to run in and do that, let's say like someone has mounted a monster and you need to get in close to do some damage, that run in is going to be very good. Press triangle when you are idle to do this rising slash. It's just a nice powerful upward hit. Press it a second time and you'll do the overhead slash. And unlike the sword mode, which is a 3-hit combo, this is a 2-hit combo that will loop if you keep pressing triangle. Rising, overhead, rising, overhead. The real power of the axe mode comes from the circle button attacks. There are 3 of them. This is called the elemental discharge combo. There's elemental discharge 1, 2, and 3, which we'll cover. If you have power charged up in those files on the upper left, you'll actually get them very powered up, but we're going to go ahead and show them without any files just so we can cover what they do. Go ahead and press the circle button once and we'll do discharge 1. Just a nice side chop here. Chop. Press it again and do one of my favorite moves, which is this double swing. Boom, boom. First attack is a little bit weaker, second attack is stronger. Very nice. And if we press it one more time, we'll do what we call the super, which is discharge 3. It's a wind up and a smack downward like this. It's a very powerful attack and it will morph you back into sword mode automatically at the end of it. You can actually do that finisher, that super, by just pressing triangle and circle at the same time while you're idle. We'll go over later why that is such an important move and why they have so many shortcuts for it. Now, similar to the sword mode, you can mix and match these attacks in between each other with the triangle button. So if we just do the rising slash, it's a substitute for elemental 1. You go straight into that. You can actually loop these. This is a great combo if a monster is down. If we do it after a dash slam, see what happens here. We go straight into discharge 2. The one attack where the triangle button does not act as a substitute for discharge 1 though is that downward hit right here. If you notice, then it goes into discharge 1. I think it has to do with the amount of inertia and energy you have behind your attacks when you do it. So you may be asking yourself, well, if I have to do the super to go back into sword mode, is there any other way? And yes, all you have to do is press the R2 button at any time and you go straight back into sword mode. So you can go ahead and do this, I mean, literally anytime you want. You can morph between these things. You can do it after an attack. You can press R2 here. After a shield thrust, we can morph into it and back and forth. Again, we'll cover this later, but a side note here is when you press R2, notice that you do have your shield out. This is another round slash and another guard point. So if at any time you are in the much slower axe mode and you see, let's say, a Diablo's coming and you don't have time to get back into sword so that you can guard, you can morph and it does act as a good substitute. Let's see what happens here. See, and it will guard the attack. Okay, now it's time to get into the true meat of the weapon, which is the charge mechanic. So as you attack with the sword, watch the upper left hand side of the screen, those files. You will be gathering energy after you do enough attacks here. Now you see that we are now glowing yellow. This is equivalent to 3 of those 5 files. If we keep attacking, it will turn to red. So see what that looks like. Now with red, if we charge it, it'll fill all 5 files, but if we keep attacking, we'll go into overheat mode here, and every single one of our attacks will start to bounce. This is a really bad thing, so make sure that that doesn't happen. Whenever you have energy built up in those files, hold the R2 button, which is guard, and press the circle button to charge them. And now you notice we have all 5 files charged up. With the files charged, let's go back into axe mode so we can see what these things do. So if you remember, the circle button is called the elemental discharge, and why that is called that is each one of those moves will use up 1 file of energy if you have it available. This will make it much more powerful and also add a blast effect, which will do additional damage to a monster. Here is that first one. Here is the second one. And finally, here is the third one. Now, because I only have 2, I'm just going to go straight into it by pressing triangle and circle button so you guys can see it. So if you notice, elemental discharge 1 does 1 blast, 2 does 2 blasts, and 3 does 3. Now, depending on the type of your weapon, it's either an elemental file type or a impact file type. Elemental 1 will do elemental damage of the element of that weapon, and impact, which is probably the more popular one, but they are doing a buff to elemental in the spring update, will do KO/stun damage if you hit the head of a monster with it. So you can actually KO a monster pretty good if you go ahead and you see, let's say their head is right here, wind up and smack them in the head with this thing. Those impact files do quite a bit of damage and stun. The game does provide a shortcut when you charge your files to go into that axe combo from sword mode. Go ahead and press circle after you charge your files and you'll go right into an elemental discharge 1, and then you can start doing the combo all you want. There's also a second shortcut as well. I know it's getting complicated, but trust me, this is going to be really fun once you learn how to do all of it. Is after a shield thrust, if you remember, that's just the triangle and circle button after any move in the sword mode. If you go ahead and press circle and triangle one more time after that, you'll go straight into the super as well. So yeah, very easy to use and abuse this weapon when you want to do lots of hits. Oh, that's so good. Okay, the next mechanic I want to talk about is how to charge your shield, which is really the axe head. So once you go into that super, which if you remember you can do like this, to do that right there. Or you can press triangle and circle while you're in idle axe mode as well. During that wind up, if you press the R2 button, you'll cancel out of it and transfer all that energy from that discharge into your shield. So let's see what that looks like here. And boom. Now we notice that our shield is now purple charged. You can do all this in one step. Charge, over, super, R2. Boom. We got a charged shield. That's definitely probably the fastest and most efficient way to charge your shield. Now when you charge your shield, it will last for 30 seconds for each file that you had. So I charged this with 5 files of energy, so it will last for its maximum of 2.5 minutes. Now what this shield boost mode does is it takes every single axe attack we have and makes it 10% more powerful. So that is a huge boost of attack power that we can do here. So good. On top of that, it also raises the guarding capability of our shield. So if maybe we were guarding like this with R2 and we get hit and we had huge knockback, this raises it up almost like we had the guard plus skill. So it will reduce the amount of stamina loss, life loss, and also the knockback from an attack. So that's very good as well. And anytime you do a guard, whether it be just holding R2 or doing a guard point, you will add a mini explosion of impact or elemental damage to each one of those guards. Not enough to just sit there and kill a monster by guarding, but definitely adds up and helps in the long run. And finally, the last major feature of the charged shield is that super attack now gets changed into what we call the Ultra, or the Super Amped Elemental Discharge. I really don't like that name, but if you see SAED, the abbreviation, that is what they are referring to. This will use every single one of the files you have charged up, so I have 5 here. This will go ahead and use all 5. So let's do this and watch what happens. Swing the axe, boom. And it does a bunch of hits, which I missed because it went through the pillar. And then it'll throw you right back into sword mode. Let's see it one more time here. And we're going to do our Ultra. Boom. That is a lot of damage. Now if you notice the shield is blinking, it means it is about to run out. Let's go ahead and charge up and get into the shield charge mode again. And normally this is kind of where the weapon ends, but they went another step further and they added in yet another charge mode in Monster Hunter World, which is to charge your sword. You can do this at any time you have a charged shield. Sort of like taking that energy from the shield and sort of doping your sword with it. So the way to do this is if you do the charge motion, which normally you don't want to do when you don't have energy in your files because it'll just result in this really bad long animation. But during that, if we hold the triangle button and release, don't want to wait too late, we'll do this really cool attack, and this will charge our sword. Let's see what that looks like as an attack. Boom. So it's a very powerful attack. Allows you to accidentally, if you accidentally do that charge and you want to do that, you can charge the energy into your sword. This lasts for just 45 seconds, but what it does is every single one of your sword hits now does an additional impact sort of blast. These blasts are not as powerful as the axe, but it does get applied to every single hit that you do, so this stuff really adds up. The other killer feature of having a charged sword here is that every attack gets Mind's Eye. That means no matter how hard the hide that you're hitting, you will never bounce off. If you notice, we're now at 45, so let's go and do that again. And charge up our sword, we get another 45 seconds. Very cool. You can keep charging your shield if you have extra stock, if you want to make sure you don't run out. So yeah, very easy to juice up both your sword and your shield. Obviously the focus is going to be on keeping your shield juiced up because you can't get into that sword mode, nor can you use those awesome elemental discharge and the impacts if you don't have a charged shield. Now you may be asking yourself, well, I really like the additional attack power of the axe, I like the blast of that super one, I don't want to use Ultra, I don't want to lose every single one of my files in one huge attack, I just want to be able to do that super. Well, you're in luck. There is a way to do it. In the middle of the wind up of the Ultra, or the Super Amped Elemental Discharge, hold back in relation to your hunter with the analog stick and press the triangle button, and you'll be able to cancel out of it and go into the super. So let's see what that looks like now. So back in triangle, and we've canceled out of it to now do that super. This is really good because with the charged shield, you're going to be doing a lot more damage. You don't always want to use all these files in one shot, so being able to go into your super is a very cool thing as well. Very nice. Now they did just announce that in the spring update this weapon will be getting a revision where right now the Ultra, or just sort of hitting it with this axe here and not doing not canceling out, the KO damage on those explosions right now is ridiculously high. So they are going to lower them and bring them back down to earth. They're still going to be really good, but right now they're just a little too good. But what they're also doing is that if you have an elemental type charge blade, the explosions will actually be more powerful. So if you have an elemental charge blade, go ahead and use that Ultra. And if you're using a normal impact one, it's still going to be really good. But these attacks here will actually get increased stun damage. So they're just making it so that it's a little bit more balanced. So higher stun on the normal discharge and the super, and lower on the Ultra. Okay, now let's specifically go over those guard points one more time. Again, these are points in the animation in which your shield is out and it will auto guard. Here's the first one, which is that round slash. Very nice. I call it round slash, but it's actually called the spinning slash. I think it's because I play too much Sword and Shield. Next one is the morph from axe back into Sword and Shield, so just hit R2 if you're ever in trouble. The next one is morphing into axe mode. You do put out your shield at the very start of that animation. So if you're ever in trouble with the sword mode, you could just guard, but if you're in the middle of a combo, just hit that morph attack. And the other two guard points are when you charge your shield, you do that spinning slash, and also when you do that moving slash, you'll also do a guard point at the end here. So very good to just get used to those, because although they're not essential to the weapon, if you want intermediate to high level play, they allow you to be very aggressive without getting hit. Jumping attacks are standard fare. Just press a triangle button to do the jumping slash. If you try to hit triangle afterwards, you'll notice that it did act as a substitute for the first two hits of the combo. You can morph in the air, which is very nice. Let's do that. And of course you can morph back into sword in the air as well by hitting R2. And of course with axe you have your standard jumping attack as well. It does lots of mounting damage, so definitely hit with the axe if you're doing a jump attack. Okay, now let's check out the sliding. First one is a little hard for the sliding attacks. You have to hold R2 while holding R1. If you do that, you will guard on your way down. So if you ever find yourself in danger while you're sliding, you could do that. Or you can press the triangle button as you're sliding down to do a jumping slash. You can of course follow that up with any of the jumping attacks, whether it's the triangle attack or morphing to an axe or anything like that as well. So let's try to morph to axe really fist here. There we go. And similar to Sword and Shield, if you press triangle and circle at the same time, that forward running slash, it will throw you into a slide. So it's pretty cool. You can go into a slide even with your weapon out. So really cool stuff. So whether you're running up the wall or you do that forward running slash, you can do just a standard jump attack off those mushrooms as well. Nothing interesting or different about them. They're just standard jumping attacks. Again though, the axe does a lot of damage in the air. So if you ever find those little mushrooms, whether it be the secret arena or in Nergigante's playground, he's got those spike walls. Go ahead and use those to really maximize your jumping attacks and do some mounts. Okay, and finally I want to end with just a quick demonstration. I always play really bad when I try to do these demonstrations, but we just talked about like a few dozen moves, so it might be nice to me to show you a video of me putting them together. And again, this is a very freestyle form weapon. There's so many different ways you can play it and different combos and stuff like that, that I think finding your personal style is actually really cool. A good monster to practice, I think, with this weapon, even though a lot of the monsters are really good against it, is Baroth, because it telegraphs all of its moves really good, gives you lots of opportunities to try to use those guard points to your advantage, And he also has a head that sits just high enough for you to do the amped discharge and try to KO him. Let's just eat for whatever here. I am using the Final Form Diablo's Charge Blade, which is arguably the best one in the game. The damage of the files is based on your raw attack power, so the fact that this thing has negative affinity, it doesn't matter. And then because with Handicraft it goes up to white sharpness, that just makes it even more powerful. Yeah, let's go for a mount just to start out, so you guys can see the mount attack here. It's really cool. The mount attack does a lot of damage, especially if you have it charged up. You can actually KO a monster. Either way though, it does a lot of damage, so you could use it against the tail here and cut it off. There we go. Look at that damage, man. Whew. Brutal. So the first thing you want to do is get your red... Oops. See, I still do it as well. I accidentally hit that button to do the slide. So I'm going to get it here into a shield. Man, he's already lost that. Use a guard point there. You can see that just keeps you very aggressive and safe. Oh. Tight areas are never a good idea with monsters. Let's see if we can KO him here. That's gotta hurt. And of course, every time you try to demo a weapon, the monster runs away with high frequency. Either that or Basil or something invades. It's just really bad. You can use small monsters like this to get some files if you want to. They charge up really fast since you do so much damage. See if I can surprise Baroth with a SAED, or Ultra as I will always call it. It's because we used to call it the Super Burst and then the Ultra Burst. There we go. There you go, boy. Oh ho. And the KO as well. Ouch. That charge attack really though is the sweet sauce when it comes to charging those files. Hello, Diablos. Ha! Did you knock the monster downstairs? Thanks. Chump. Can we get off an Ultra really fast? Yes. And there you go. So I didn't even use the charged up sword, but you certainly can, and it's really good. One other cool thing I'll end by letting you guys know is you can actually charge your files on a corpse. They took that out in a previous game, but they added it back in. So this allows you to, if you have a multi-monster quest, or if you have two monsters near each other, you can do stuff like that. Anyways, a horrible demo, but I hope this guy showed you that it really is a freestyle weapon. There's no right way to use it. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Hope you guys check out the Charge Blade. I know that some people tend to get intoxicated by it because it's so good, but it really is a blast to play. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, happy hunting.